Beautiful, beautiful day in New York. That's where I am. And I wanted to hear what everyone wanted to say about the thumbnail that me first seems to be his philosophy on how he is handling America, how he's handling international relations. So I am curious as to what everyone else is thinking about how his behavior has been displayed and what that looked like for us. So come on in here and let me hear what y'all have to say because I've been looking at the Midas Touch and iHip podcast. And again, if you all aren't a part of those two, I would encourage you guys to go over there and check it out. It's they drop like at least four, 3 to 4 different stories per day that the regular media is not watching or showing or sharing, and that's on purpose. They don't want us to really know what's going on in the world and what's going on in America. They kind of pick and choose kind of what they share with us, which isn't American at all. It's actually un-American when you think about it. It should be a freedom of speech that takes place, and yet they continue to censor our speech. So when we say something about it, they shadow ban us. But we need to look at the fact of this me first attitude that's been going on with the leadership of our organization, which is the United States of America Incorporated. It is a corporation, it is a business. And this administration is showing just that is a business. And they are in a business of protecting themselves, right? And I want to say over $4 billion the Trump family has acquired since he's been president. Y'all should be looking at yourselves like what is really going on with that. This new sludge fund, right? $1.8 billion that they want to give treasonists from January 6th. They want to give criminals. Now, if that's not American, yet un-American, I don't know what is. Because when you think about our history, how it was formed, when you think about your Paul Revere's and your Patrick Henry's, give me liberty or give me death, when you think about George Washington's and all those cats, Thomas Jefferson's, they were actual criminals. They were treasonists against the motherland. So it's within our nature as American white men, right, to debo people. And this is what we're having now. The chicken is coming home to roost with the 250-year anniversary coming in July. So Trump is who we have as our anniversary present. We produced a Trump, and we have to acknowledge that we produced the president of the United States that we have today, the mediocrity that comes out of this White House. There has been, of the 6 women, 4 of the 6 women have been either assigned or resigned. What's wrong with that picture? Colin Powell has been removed from the Arlington Cemetery. Now, for white Americans, you all should know who Colin Powell is. Colin Powell was an esteemed military personnel. He was significant in the first pursuit in Iraq. He was misled by the Bush regime and he didn't go back that second term. But for a Republican, this man was highly respected. I would have voted for him if he and John McCain had run for presidency that year. So that's who this dude is. He's an awesome dude, but Pete Hegseth removed his name from the Arlington Cemetery, and no white evangelical said anything about it, and a white conservative said anything about it. And you all are all about pro-military, and all of you loved him. I remember that back in the day. Y'all loved Colin Powell, and I loved him too. He was a really good man. He had some great principles, and he stood on character. and integrity and values, morals. With that being said, if your children go to your Arlington cemetery, know anything about Colin Powell because you allowed Seth, who was a Fox newscaster, to become your Secretary of Defense. I will not say war because we are about love. We're not about war. So, with that, I am curious as to what people are saying. Hey, Boogie. Hey, El Boogie. Thank you for being in the clouds. Thank you, Angela. But I am curious because there's $1.8 billion in the slush fund for these criminals. How are the MAGA supporters, how are the white conservatives, the white evangelicals, how can you justify rewarding these people who attacked your police officers? And you all are about military, you all are about police. And when the whole thing was going on with the George Floyd, you all sided with the police. And yet, y'all are okay with your Trump advocating for $1.8 billion of your tax paying money, your money, to be given to criminals. But yet, y'all are harping on the fact that there's no money for reparations, for returning some of the revenue that was taken from the original natives here that are black and brown in America. So I do implore you all to kind of look at yourself in the mirror because there's something wrong with that moral compass. That you have an issue with affirmative action, you have an issue with the DEI, you have an issue with trying to even the playing field, but you don't have an issue rewarding deviants of white men. And respectfully, that will be your downfall. The chickens are coming home to roost. And mark my words, and I've said this many a times and I'll continue to say it. The fact that you all allowed this president to do the things that he did this first term, you rewarded him for that by giving him a second term. Whatever happens to this country is your fault. Y'all were so angry that there was a black president that was intelligent, that people believed in, black, brown, white, everybody believed in, and they voted him in by a landslide. Y'all are still feeling some kind of way about that. And you know what? We had that conversation with some other people on panels before, and I really didn't want to, believe it. Like, surely you just, that was 2016, a long time ago. Surely these people are not still harping on the fact that a brother finally was able to slide in the matrix and actually have some type of a multicultural leadership style and on Pennsylvania Avenue after 300 years of white. Y'all had an issue with that. So I'm not angry. Again, I repeat. Yep, El Boogie is all a part of the agenda. Yes, to anger, to exclude and seclude Native Black Americans into submission. I agree. This is why I am a right wing linger because of crap like that. Well, the thing about it, Robert, if I may be honest, right wing, left wing, they're both coming from the same bird, right? And that bird is to keep people like us divided. So the corporate Democrats, the Democrats, are no better than the blatant racist repugnants or Republicans. Let's just call that what it is. Your Democratic Party set y'all up too, right? When they gave y'all candidates like a Hillary Clinton, where no one cared for, as opposed to everybody was feeling the burn. They purposefully shut Bernie down so that they can have a corporate Democrat. Those corporate Democrats are also receiving money from AIPAC, which is a lobbying group from Israel, Netanyahu, Bibi. So with respect, Robert, I found that out the hard way, that they're both screwing us over. The Hakeem Jeffries, the Chuck Schumers, even though they seem like they on our side, they really are not on our side. When you have both of those taking money from an Israeli lobbying group, then then in a sense they've been influenced, right? So therefore they're not for the American people. So come November, when everybody goes out to vote, I'm hoping that when we do that, that we also have stipulations, if you will, for the new party, and that new party is the Progressive Democratic Party, the Robert Garcias, the the Representative Lee from Pennsylvania, or Rokana. Y'all need to be focusing on having those types of people. Okay, my bad, Robert. You're not a Democrat. I'm not either. Didn't know, because in our politics, I've noticed here in America, it's either one or the other. There are not a lot of people like myself that are unaffiliated or that are independent. So I apologize. My bad on that. I have no problems with coming back and saying my bad. So that's kind of what that that is. And Nicholas Owen, some people have said, don't vote at all. And I agree. If that's how you choose to do it, who am I? And I've often spoken on y'all's behalf, or whoever decides not to vote. Because my thing is, when will enough be enough where we get tired of voting for the lesser of two evils? Why is it that y'all settle for your Democratic Party giving y'all crumbs? Same thing with repugnance. Y'all should be able to have qualified candidates that you can choose from that really have your best interest at heart. So I agree with you. See, but what I have found about being a right wing liberal, I'm usually in that boat by myself, and I can see that, Robert, and that's okay, because sometimes, you know, being in a boat by yourself, that shows that you do have ethics, you do have morals, you do have integrity, right? You do have a moral compass about yourself. So sometimes it's okay to stand alone. At least you stand for something. You're not standing for everything. So that's actually a good thing. If we had more people like that were Americans, then we wouldn't have the situation that we have now. So say it's a joke. There's a big club and we ain't in it. Nicholas, I agree with you. It is, and it has been that way. But we can actually make our own when we do our own third party. And I've been saying this for 3 or 4. Well, it's been longer than that, and ain't nobody really hearing me about it. But I do believe that there are power in numbers, and the minorities and others that are determined to have a fair and equal society. There are more of us that are of Republicans or Democrats. And we just have to remember who we are and actually reach out and galvanize. So that's kind of one of my goals before I leave America, is to start this third party. So you all will have something, that y'all can actually kind of rely on, believe in. Hey, Candy Lane, how are y'all doing? Thank you so much for coming in on this, what is it, terrific Tuesday. I was just coming in to shoot the breeze a little bit, waiting on my transportation from my appointment. But yeah, just when I saw that 1 point something slush fund that Trump and his campaign was pushing for, I wanted to hear white conservatives, especially white evangelicals, particularly MAGItes. Surely this should be your last time, your last little something as to why you would give this Trump any of your support. He's wanting to take your money and give it to the treasonous, the criminals from January 6th, the ones that didn't play nice, right? The ones that beat up police officers, right? The ones that, excuse my language, but they spread feces in the Capitol, right? Like, that's some nasty, defecating stuff. And y'all call black people bad. And I'm just gonna, this is one of those honest types of lies that you're gonna be like, dang, I ain't know one spirit she talked like that. Yes, I do. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it needs to be discussed. And this is something that needs to be discussed respectfully. It's always a slight for people of color that we ain't got no home training and things of that nature. And yet these white people went into the Capitol and spreaded feces all in the building. And we're supposed to be okay with our president wanting to give them money for spreading feces in the Capitol. Just something to think about, you all. And yet they don't have money for universal health care or daycare, for that matter, or affordable housing. Gas prices are almost $5. But your president has told you that when he's thinking about Iran, he ain't thinking about us at all. That we don't even enter his mind. Now, if Obama had said something like that, everybody would have wanted him to be impeached. And I am going to call it what it is. When you think about all these things that have happened in this administration, I'm waiting for one person to tell me one person in his cabinet, Obama, that was an abomination like these people are. I'll wait. And yet, Obama is still in Trump's head, even to this day. What's wrong with that picture if it's not a racial thing? And I'm being very sincere when I say that. And I know that sounds like I'm being funny or I'm trying to rage or race bait, and I'm not. I'm simply asking. I'm simply asking. What else could it be? The system used to only victimize a few, but now it is turned against anyone the system can bring into the fold. If you're born here and accept the government's version of reality, you're lost. Well, Nicholas, I don't. If you, when you say victimize a few, if you mean a whole black race or a brown race, then I don't necessarily consider that a few, maybe a few million. If you want to say that, we can go along with that narrative. But to say that it's only been a few, that's not accurate for some of the demographics, right? Because if you're referring to a few white people, then yes, I would agree with you on that. I would agree with you on that. But I can't go with you that whole way. Races is what I meant. It's only the system used to only victimize. Oh, a few races. Oh, okay. A system used to only victimize a few races, but now it turned against anyone the system can't bring into the fold. Well, I think when you mean anyone, you mean white people. If we really want to have this honest conversation and dialogue, Nicholas, the only thing here that has changed is that in white America, white Americans now know that their whiteness no longer protects them from this system. If we're going to call it what it is, Nicholas, let's just do that, because brown and black people have been enduring this from the onset. From the onset. So, again, it's about having that honest dialogue there. I was speaking to their tactical sense. Well, the tactical sense is when it came to black and brown people, it's whatever they wanted to do to us. And nobody really said anything because the white people weren't being harmed. And the ones that passed as white weren't being harmed. So they didn't really say too much about it. Well, now we're seeing with the Renee Goods, no ma'am, it's open. Now it should be open. Now we are, hold on, y'all. It did close? It's open. Yeah, it's open. Hold on, y'all. Yes, ma'am. You're welcome. You have a good day. Got it? I'm back, y'all. So with the Renee Goods and the Alex Preddy, white people woke up and realized that under this administration, your whiteness is no longer covered. And that was something that, to be quite honest, I don't think this administration and the elite wanted the white people to know that they were actually susceptible to violence as well, to the brutality as well. So that's exactly what, yeah, of course, Nicholas, and thank you so much for coming with the dialogue. Because again, over here at Once Fear Us, they fear one us. They fear each one of us being able to educate each other on the miseducation that we all received. And so they're hurt. They don't want us to learn from each other so that we can relearn how the system is supposed to work with us together. They're afraid of that. So I thank you, Nicholas, for your comments that I'm able to expand a little bit more. And I realize, you all too, that the journey my life has taken me It was one that, if I'm to have this dialogue in love and start a revolution in love, because the word love is in revolution, then I had to know some of these things from a historical perspective, not just an American historical perspective, but from an international historical perspective. What was being told to us, what really took place, and how the world was being taught our history. And it was something else, exploring and learning how the different perceptions and perspectives were. Like when I'm in Uganda in 2010, 11, and I'm talking to my brothers over the brothers and sisters, and I'm asking, like, did y'all ever think about us, and why y'all ain't ever with attitude? Because I hadn't really had the awakening, so I've got a little piece of attitude, like, why y'all ain't come and get me? The Chinese people, they don't do that with their people. Yeah, I was saying all that with attitude. They were like, no, Kiki, we prayed for you. We prayed that you would return. And I'm like, what? They would actually have nursery rhymes, and it was basically waiting and hoping and praying that their sisters and brothers in America who were stolen will return to rebuild the motherland. And to me, that was like a wow kind of moment. And coming back over, I began to explore and figure out kind of why we feel the way we do towards each other. Like, what is it about? Because it's not like that in other places. Well, unfortunately, a lot of that stems from racism. A lot of that stems from chattel slavery. A lot of those ideologies stem from the fact that when the Europeans first came over here with the Plymouth Rock invasion, that within, I think, 50 years or something like that, they were no longer allies. They were doing what they could to start conflicts, and it went downhill from then. So basically, when the Europeans came, they brought the destruction with them. They brought the violence with them, the competitiveness with them. And so the fact that they had over 500 internal conflicts, in Europe before they even came over here, that's an indication of literally the makeup, what they were about before they entered the soil over here in the West, and they brought that with them. So here we are, where we have the product of that, and Trump is America's product of the dirty laundry that we've kept hidden for 300 or 250 years. Now, if we don't acknowledge our dirty laundry, which is racism, which is the chattel slavery, which is the generational wealth that was acquired off of black and brown backs, that needs to be repaired, there's no coming back from this. And I am going to do a video a little bit later on how the chickens are coming home to roost. I did it a few years ago beforehand. It's like I was predicting this, and I was telling us all, like, if we don't get it under control, then from the north, from the east, from the south, and from the west, they are going to attack us, and we're not going to have anyone here to defend us, because they are strategically manipulating our president to deplete our military here on our land to go elsewhere, so that when they come and attack us, there's going to be no one to defend us. The National Guard, with all due respect to the National Guard, I don't knock them, but the National Guard or ICE, do you want ICE protecting you? They don't even have a high school degree or high school diplomas, and they were, I think, if I'm not mistaken, over 75% of them came from the January 6th insurrectionists, who were criminals that were pardoned. and rewarded from, again, for their behavior by getting a job to cover your face and wear um, and carry a gun, I mean, a GUN, and be able to take a life. This is how America rewards white male mediocrity. And I'm doing a video on that soon about white male mediocrity. Because if that is not the Achilles heel of the United States of America, I don't know what is. White male mediocrity. When you think about the Trump administration, that's what you should think of. White male mediocrity. Only in America can a white man, a mediocre white man, not intelligent, be rewarded for his mediocrity. And tell me I'm wrong, y'all, because when you think of a Pete Hegseth, does he seem smart to y'all? Cash Patel, does he seem smart to y'all? Donald Trump, does he seem smart to y'all? Pete Hegseth, does he seem smart to y'all? JD Vance, does he seem smart to y'all? Stephen Cho, the communication director, does he seem? Linda McMahon, WWE, that's her claim to fame. She married to Vince McMahon, WWE. She is your Secretary of Education. Right. Knows absolutely nothing about education. Has never been a teacher. She was actually found to have lied on her resume to go to another board in education. When they found out, they had to let her go. But this is, she's over our education. Robert freaking Kennedy, over Department of Human Services. Like, all of those things should make y'all cringe. And I will say again, if Obama put any of those in his cabinet, y'all would have gotten him impeached and demanded they all get kicked out of the cabinet. And yet he didn't have one scandal. And if he did, let me know and put it down at the bottom. See, I'm going to go back to him because I'm going to tell y'all the truth. Because of all this MAGA stuff, and with that, your POTUS that you had, you have made me want Obama back so bad and speak of him. I've spoken of Obama more during these last 3 years, 4 years, than I spoke about him in his old 8 years. Like, real talk. Y'all have made me not just appreciate that man, but realize, damn, I know this is a racist country, but they really don't like black people. Like, they really, really have a thing about black excellence. Not black people, black excellence. Because if black people are acting like, you know what I'm saying, if black people are acting a fool, white people ain't got a problem with it. But the excellence part of it is what white America has an issue with. And that's really, really sad. It's tragic because we're better than that as a country. Let me see. I apologize. I ain't been looking down at the chats, and my bad on that. Let me see. Nicholas says, I'm a ginger blonde, blue eyes, but even my family's hairy Cherokee. I know that's right. Heavy Cherokee. Our family was said to be more wild and unruly because of that. Let's see. And I have to admit, if I were dark skinned, I would have already been convicted. I hate to say it, Nicholas, but probably. The way that this is here, trouble. So it's hard to say I have white privilege. But if I'm being truthful, then I have to admit. And Nicholas, you know what? And I appreciate that because, I have a few cousins, what I'm saying, that they can pass. You know what I'm saying? And they haven't had, some of the challenges that some of honestly, my darker skinned cousins have. And that's the reality. And it shouldn't be that way. And let the truth be told, I believe if Obama was darker, that he would have gotten more pushback. But he was passable. His skin color wasn't as intimidating. And that's unfortunate, but this is the world that we live in. This is the country that some of us inherited, but we don't have to leave this country like that, right? And that's what one Fear Us is about as well. We can really use our unique and special gifts, spiritual gifts, to make the world better than it was before we entered it. And if that's, for me, that's the best thing you can do for the world, you know, by your energy, by your presence, by what you bring to the table, make it better than it was before you came. Sorry about that, you all. Let me see here. We're all shades of wheat. We're all, yeah, we're all shades of wheat. We're the same thing with different genetic traits. We're the same thing, or we wouldn't be able to have children together. I can say for me, as a melanated sister, everything comes from my prototype, so on a phenotype. So yeah, I agree with that. Everything came and started with me. So I agree, and that's why we can, as melanated women, we can reproduce with anyone. And yeah, yeah, I take pride in that. Nicholas, respectfully, um, I don't necessarily want to go into the religious aspect because that makes people feel some kind of way and this, that, and the third, and I don't want that. But what I will say is, I do believe in a higher being, and I do believe that our ancestors are watching over us and here with us and trying to protect us in the best possible way. And I do believe that because we all uh, come from good, that we have the ability to be together. But with all due respect, when I see things like that, it's basically saying that black and brown people have not been wanting to be together. And I know that's not what you probably intended, but I do want to, whoever's listening, I do want to make this clear because that's kind of what the challenge has been. Black and brown people aren't the issue, right? It's the white men, the mediocre white men that are the issue that we should be addressing because they're the ones that, unfortunately, because of them and their power, their brutality, and just the destruction, the chaos, they tip the scales of control and they coerce by force. So when you say the creator wants us all together, you really, with all due respect, should be addressing that to those of the Anglo-Saxon background, the Eurocentric background, lived experience, because they're the ones that come with the destruction, right? And we have to call that too, and not be for me. There's a book about what you're talking about. I'm sure they keep telling me there's several books out there what I'm talking about, and I'm looking forward to reading all of them myself. So. This is something, as you can hear, I don't have a copyright on it. With education, experience, lived experience, and things of that nature, these are things that you work on, you work through, and I've just been fortunate that I understand that's part of my purpose-driven life. Basically, is to re-educate the miseducated, even the evil people with need to come. Yeah, and it's up to them whether they come to the light or not, Nicholas. But what we can say is, for us, as for me, I'm saying, especially to black and brown people, we are the light, we are the salt. We need to get back in touch with us. When we get back in touch with us, we ain't got time to be focused about nobody else and nothing else because we have all the resources that we need within ourselves. We just have to tap into that collectively. And once we do that, there is no stopping us, period, point blank, because we're going to have this revolution. It's going to be in love. We're going to love ourselves. We're going to love this earth. We're going to love our ancestors. We're going to love our future enough to put our pettiness aside and come together as a whole. I believe that. I'm sending it out in the universe. I'm doing everything in my power to make that happen. So again, I thank you all for coming here and just sharing, listening. Frequency is so important. But that sludge fund that the president was insisting that takes place, it was just, honestly, it was just disgusting. He said some and done some appalling things before, but that should have been a slap to everybody's face, even the ones that have been his staunchest supporters, even the black people. And I got a couple people in mind. And I hope she comes through and listens to this, because you claim to believe that everything is about the Democrats, Democrats. You can't say nothing what the Democrats did with that. He said it himself. He came out of his own mouth and said it. And you can't say that the Democrats is trying to influence him to do that. So I'm waiting. I really want you to drop a note or two. And if you come through and listen to some of this live, your name starts with a T. I want you to tell me what you think about what's been going on with your president. And I say your president because he's not mine. And I'm still looking at you side eye that you still are 100% in support of him. And I'm hoping after this you're not, right? Even though in your world things are working good for you, not for people that look like you. I definitely want to hear what you have to say about this 1 point something billion dollars that your president is trying to give these white criminals. He ain't giving it to Pookie and Ray Ray and Tyrone that sold a dime bag on the corner or whatever to feed, to make some food for the family. He ain't doing that for them. I'm just saying. And I'm going to get off my soapbox for that. But you know who I'm talking about. There'll always be balance, imbalance, good, evil. We'd be foolish not to understand that on a core level. However, there's a gross imbalance. I agree. I agree with you. That whole duality, the yin and the yang, El Boogie, you're correct. But we don't, my thing is this, we don't have to add to it, right? We don't have to add to it. And that's where I'm coming from, especially if that's what they want and that's what they're anticipating us doing. We don't want to, no, that's not what we're about. And getting us to understand who we are, that's the key element of breaking this matrix that we're capable of doing. We just have to know we have it within ourselves. And again, you know who you are. If you happen to listen to some of this live, I really want to talk with you. And I'm not going to yell with you, and you're not going to yell at me. And we're not going to be emotional about it. I want you to tell me about the behaviors. I want you to tell me how these behaviors are America first, as opposed to me first, because that's what the thumbnail was about. Everything he's been doing is about him and his family, him and his white friends, him and his white oligarchs, him and his white people. It ain't been about nothing about the poor people, or even the people like you who voted for him, who believed that nonsense that he was speaking and you voted for him. I don't know why, because again, if you're black, I don't mean no harm. I don't. But if you're black and you voted for him, it's like you don't know you're black. Because in America, forget about everything else. Your color is going to trump, no pun intended, it's going to trump anything and everything. And yet you did. So you know who you are. Correct. That's what consciousness and awareness is about. Oh, that's what I'm talking about, El Boogie. El Boogie, I appreciate you. Listen, when I get famous, I got you, girl. There's you and two other people that regardless of what, y'all going to support. And I'm so serious. I may not say it enough, but I do appreciate that. And I want you to come as a guest to my panel, um, when I get that up and running the way I want to. Because I don't know what it is, El Boogie, but you got some stories to tell too. You got something that you got to share with us, and I'm looking forward to being a part of that. But I digress. I was talking about Trump and the the sludge fund of 1.8 billion dollars, and that's the caucasity of this mediocre white man who's already got us in so much mess to demand the money to be paid from the taxpayers to be given to insurrections. When you have Lindsey Graham, and don't care for Lindsey Graham. I can talk about him because I'm from South Carolina, and I can talk about how bad he has been for South Carolina. But when you have Lindsey Graham going against you with this sludge fund, 1 point something $8 billion to criminals. When you have Tom Tillis, I lived in North Carolina on and off for 20 years. Tom Tillis, senator from North Carolina, a starch, staunch, is it staunch? I'm saying it wrong. Staunch. I'll just say a diehard um, Republican who's basically saying that's absurd, that's stupid, and that's dumb. That should tell you something. And they've had enough of that. So this may be the last roll call for Trump. And if it is, no, thank you, Elboogie. If it is, that's not going to be a good thing. And y'all, people have laughed at me when I say it that too, but it's true because believe it or not, Trump is the only thing that's keeping us from full blast, full blown Project 2025. Because you got JD Vance, who is literally a a a trick. He's one of the biggest political tricks. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows he could be bought off from the from the highest bidder. Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner if I said the guy's name, you'd know it, and I can't think of it right now, and I hate that. But this dude, they're all waiting for POTUS to finally lose his last little piece of a mind, brain left. And this right here was just that. They set that man up because he's dumb and he's a narcissist and he's senile and he's cognitively impaired. They set him up, and because they set him up, I know he see me on the phone. Okay, y'all, my bad. It's a little baby that bless his heart. Oh Lord. No, I'm sorry, I didn't even say it like that. Let me come back over here, folks. But anyway, this was they are setting Trump up basically to do an impeachment on him so they can get JD Vance to become the president. Now, again, I think I've said this on more than one platform, but y'all should be concerned about that. And you can actually do the whole, I think it's, what is it, Article 4, Article 20, something 4. I wrote it on one of my posts that we can remove the entire cabinet, right? And if anything, we should be trying to entire cabinet because every one of them has broken the law. Are we willing to do something like that? That would be the question. Who knows? Because it seemed like, again, if it's white, it's right. And if it's black, it's whack. Everybody has excused everything that this administration has done. And there's not been one policy that actually has worked for the American people. And if it is, write down in the chat. I'll wait. Like, literally, I'll wait. I can't think of any. Because there hasn't been any, right? And yet, ain't nobody asked to remove them. Ain't nobody asked for them to resign or nothing. But if it was Obama, just saying. I'm trying to think of, what was her name? Jeffries. There was a Jeffries and Eric Holder as the Attorney General. Now that's a prime example of Todd Blanche. I forgot about him. Now here's again, this is only in America. Only in America can a criminal defense attorney that's not really good become your assistant attorney general. Only because he was the president's, oh shoot. Let me get back with you. Give me literally not even 10 minutes. I'm gonna get back with you guys. Sorry about that.